Woohoo! It's another year. Well, it is down under at the moment. 2026. Australia celebrated last night in the Northern Hemisphere. Canada and US, you're about to celebrate another year, more fireworks, another year, 2026 for Elevate. We're going to talk about the energies of the new year, what to expect, and all sorts of things. Stay tuned. Welcome to Elevate, the awareness shift, waking the quantum self. I'm KAren Swain, your host, and you're listening on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM, syndicated radio all over the world. G'day, and welcome to another show on the United Public Radio Network, Elevate. Hey, Kristin. Happy New Year, darling one.
Happy almost New Year.
I know. We've celebrated down under. Time. I think New Zealand is the first to go off, and then Korea, I think, is the next, and maybe a couple of Asian cities, and then Australia, and then, I think so Europe is about to celebrate now, in the UK it's in an hour or so. Yeah, the midnight. So here we are. So I'm in 2026 and you're in 2025.
I think it's hilarious. That's why I kind of was thinking, I know you were considering taking a break for the rest of the year, but I'm like, I have time next Wednesday. It's only 4:00 in the afternoon here. So
yeah, no, I'm not taking a break for the rest of the year. Just with ATP media shows, I'm going to take just upload some recordings. There's hundreds and hundreds of shows that I've done over 16 years of doing media.
Hundreds. I know. I can't keep up on you.
I know. But we'll still do Elevate. I've done a couple of recordings over the last 3 weeks, actually. I uploaded some. On Christmas Day, I put up the recording. I put up the one that Etty and I had about being peace in a divided world.
Yeah, beautiful.
Which was so pertinent to because we did that before the Bondi attacks. And so I thought if anyone's around, they could re-listen to that. Because she shared a channeling with one of the young men who was shot on October 7th, 2 years ago in Israel, Gaza, wherever they were, over that side of the world. Excuse my ignorance. And and he speaks about why it happened, and he speaks about it from that higher perspective, that it's all happening for a reason. Down here on Earth, we can just see tragedy. But up there in the higher realms, in the other realms, in the different frequency realms, they see the purpose for all of it. And so that was a beautiful show. So I repeated that on Christmas Day. I thought that was a good message to go out. My Christmas Day, it was your Christmas Eve, but so we're going to talk about, let me just acknowledge the beautiful people in the chat. There's Son, Happy New Year to you. Alison, woohoo. Mish, Happy New Year. Kevin, woohoo, 2026. What's she saying here? Hi, Karen. Hi, Alison. Oh, she's saying hello to all the people in the chat. Yeah, here we are in 2026. Well, down under, it's a cold, wet, rainy day, first day of the year. And last night was a cold, windy night. So we're in the middle of our summer, and it can be putridly hot at this time of year in Australia. Well, at least in my part of Australia and many parts of Australia. But at the moment, it's cold. I wouldn't call it freezing, but it was a cold night last night. And I went up a couple of, blocks down. You've been to my place, Kristin. Couple of blocks down to the beach, sat on the park, sat at a different spot today. I was with Hamida. Hello, Hamida, if you're listening, and her daughter, her whole family, actually, and my good friend, Freya. And we sat at a different spot up on I don't know if you remember my place, but there's a park that's up on the cliff at Coogee, which is actually where they let the fireworks off. And I actually thought that was always off limits to people sitting up there. But they roped off just a section of it, and then you can sit above where they're lighting the fireworks, and it was the best view. You just lie down.
Your videos were amazing that you showed our group of the fireworks. So yeah, you had a good spot.
good spot. It was good spot. And then, of course, the Sydney fireworks in the harbour are going off, and every year they spend more and more money, millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know how much bigger they want to get. I don't know how much bigger they want to get. What does Mish say? It was bloody cold here out in Australia. I had the fire going. Yeah. We've had an interesting summer in Tasmania. We had a white Christmas in Tasmania. They had a white Christmas. It
wow. How long has it been since they've had that? Ever?
In the middle of summer. No, it happens sometimes. It's not in all of the places in Tasmania, but up in the mountains. One year, God, it would be 34 years ago because Annika was a baby. We were in the mountains in New South Wales during Christmas time. I don't know if it was Christmas Day, but during the holidays. And it was snowing up there in the mountains too, where they ski in the middle of summer. Yeah, crazy.
That's incredible. Wow.
So, yeah, so hello to everyone who's watching on the lives and on the recordings. We're going to talk about the energies of 2026. There will be a million prediction podcast shows on YouTube that everyone will click on because everyone's thinking, what's in store for me this year?
Right.
And I'll tell you, as a teacher of deliberate creation, there isn't what's in store for you that's coming at you. It's what you create. And what they say to me about life circumstances, and people say, yeah, but I don't create life circumstances. Like I don't create the wars and I don't create the earthquakes. Like that's not my responsibility to create that in my reality. But they say to me, well, it's about how you navigate. It's not what happens to you. It's how you respond to it, which I said
exactly. Yeah.
many times. But they've said it to me, they've given it to me like this. It's like the weather. Although you think you don't create the weather, you actually do. You co-create, you collectively co-create the weather and earth changes and everything. That's another story. But when you hit the weather, which you think you're not created, how are you going to navigate that? Maybe you've decided to go on a picnic with friends and then it's pouring with rain. So how are you going to navigate that? And so that's what we're going to talk about, like navigating the energies of the new year. So we've come out of even listening to the fireworks because I went, to bed and watched the midnight fireworks in bed. Party animal, rager. Woo!
You're a rager.
Rager, party animal. And even the guy on television was saying, aren't we pleased to have 2025 done with? And I'm like, really? Is that the sentiment? Is that the sentiment out there in the collective, like on the mainstream, the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Commission? That's what he thinks, like he's pleased to have, has 2025 been a terrible year for everybody? Let me know in the comments, and either on the live comments or oh, Lordy, love Mother Nature keeping us on our toes. Oh, that's, what are you saying here? 16 degrees here, warmer than usual. Oh, they're talking about the weather in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about for you, Kristin? Has 2025 been a disruptive, challenging year for you?
Well, I don't know that it's necessarily more challenging or not than any other years. I think that's I'll tell you about my personal experience, but I think that's kind of the collective, like we joke about it and we're sarcastic about it, but then it can become what everybody really is thinking. But politically, yeah, it was very strange. I've had a challenging year, but I created it because I made choices to step into new things that are coming to fruition now that I've been creating. And, it's the contraction before the birthing. And so things have been tight for me. But so, yeah, 2025 has been challenging. But why does it have to end and then something new starts? Let's just continue the flow of what I'm creating. And so I don't know. I think the collective, I think we love to joke about it. But also I've started following a lot more accounts that say hey, in case you've missed it, this is the good news from last week. And it shares about how, some of the sea turtles aren't endangered anymore. And have you been seeing the pictures of narwhals everywhere? There's all this beautiful news too. So do I want to get rid of that for 2025? No. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I remember you said this when I did that interview with you a year and a half ago or so. The miracles and the changes are the shift from fear to love. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
2.5 years, whenever that was. It's the shift
Yeah.
from fear to love.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'd rather not live in that kind of fear. I'd rather, live in love. So
exactly. It's all a matter of perspective, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of the comments here, 2025, very challenging, but learned a lot, Alison said. Not a terrible year. It has been a learning one for me as well. So, so as we bump up against the contrasts, the traumas, we learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, numerologically, 2025 on a global scale was a 9-year, and 9 is always about change, disruption, evolution, finishings, endings, finishing something, and a 2026 globally is a 1 year, 10-year, or 1 year, which is about new beginnings. But of course, that doesn't apply to every single person on the planet, but it's how your energy bumps up against that energy. A lot of people, when they think about new beginnings, often think, oh, I'm going to start something new and it's going to be so great and it's going to be so successful. But when you think about new beginnings, when you think about planting a seed, oh, I'm going to sneeze. Hang on. Sneeze coming. Hang on. Oh.
Bless you.
Not coming out. When you think about planting a seed and you put a seed in the ground and water it and nurture it, it doesn't sprout immediately. And I think that that's very much the energy of a 1 year. You might have brilliant ideas that you might want to implement, but the fruition of it or the success of it or the growth of it doesn't happen in the first year. It's about planting the seeds that you'll reap the rewards of later in the year, later in the 9-year cycle, later in the decade. But as we're coming out of a 2025 year, a year of evolution, the 9 energy is very much about collective energy, humanity at large, and disruption. For me, it's a classic year, because we're still, for the first half of the year, we're still integrating the energies of the year before. And the guides have always given me the analogy of this life that we're living here on Earth is about the contrast and how we grow from the contrast. And as we're shifting from one system, one yuga, one era to another, in order to move into a new cycle or move into a new system or a new way of living on Earth, we have to break down the old. And they gave me the analogy, because I used to, design and decorate houses, And they said, if you're renovating a house, there's a lot of disruption before you build the new. Even if you just paint a room, you've got to put all the furniture in the middle, so you can't actually use the room until you finish painting, and then you can put it all back. They used that analogy for me over and over again. So they said to me, what are you going to do? You're going to cry at the disruption, or are you going to visualize the finished product where, like, it's going to be a nice fresh paint or a nice new house? So where are you going to put your focus? On the disruption or on what you're creating, what the disruption is creating? And that just happened to me exactly this year.
Yes, it has for you.
Harping on about it for 6 months or 4 months about the disruption I'm living in. The guides just keep laughing, and they said, what are you going to do? You're going to cry at the disruption, or you're going to focus on, the finished product? But as the disruption happens in our lives, it is the challenge to not focus on what is and focus on what you want. And that is the crux of being a deliberate creator. Like, are you going to put your powerful focus on what is, on what you don't want? And as you keep focusing on it and complaining about it and bitching about it and getting upset about it and letting it evoke the frequency that you're vibrating, let it control your mood, then you keep recreating it, reprinting it, restamping it, reprinting it, recreating it. Or are you going to focus on what you want and feel the vibration of that? So that's the challenge we're all up for as humans living in this dense environment called planet Earth, right?
Right.
Because there's crap going down politically, the weather's going crazy, disasters, shootings, trauma, war. It's constant. And all us light workers are like, oh, we're new Earth, heaven on earth. And then it's like, when's heaven going to arrive? But the challenge is, can you be in the thick of the chaos and focus on what you want to create, What is
Right.
it that you want to create? Hello, Heidi. Hi, Karen and Kristin, she says. That's
Yeah.
love from Boulder, Colorado.
Back a couple chats. Michelle, aka Mish, she says we have until February, the Chinese New Year. Do you see that?
Yeah, we have until February.
Yeah, and I've thought about that because they've also been talking, even though it was a 9-year and it happened to be year of the snake, which is year of shedding and things like that, shedding the skins and letting it go. A lot of people interpreted it that way. And so technically we're still carrying that, like your guide said, into the new year, because that doesn't shift to year of the horse until February.
Right.
So it depends on where you look at it and your perspective and culturally. I mean, there really are so many things.
Well, I've chatted to the guides about this because years ago when I was in my 20s, I wanted to study astrology. And it was so complicated. And when I say complicated, so there's so much to it. People just think it's the sun sign that you read in the paper or a magazine, right?
There's so much. I've tried
so much to it. Yeah. And I thought, God, I could spend lifetime studying this. And there's other things I want to do in this lifetime. I just can't put all my energy into this. And then I started studying numerology and I got obsessed with numbers. And everywhere I went, I'm making meaning out of numbers. And that did my head in. I thought, God, I'm going to go crazy if I keep doing this. So I asked the guides about it, like, what's with all this stuff? And they said, you create your own reality. And really, none of that has any precedence on what you create in your life, because you are the controller of your vibration. And you can live outside your astrological chart or your numerological chart or whatever energies, the Chinese chart or the Ayurvedic chart, like whatever energies you think that have some control or some dominance, or what's the word I'm looking for, opinion in your life. You can actually live outside of it when you master your mood, when you master a deliberate creation. And I'm like, oh, of course. Yeah, of course. But if you give power to it, if you give credence to it, of course, what you focus on, you're going to create. So again, this isn't a predictive show. It's more about how to navigate the energies. And it's the same every year, really.
Yeah.
It's the same every day, every minute, every second, every nanosecond. Like, how do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? What are you thinking? What are you believing? What are you believing to be true? And so we can talk about what's coming up, but what's coming up is more opportunity for us to master or refine the way we respond to our thinking, our emotions, to life, to others, to relationship. It's more opportunity. And every year it gets more intense because we are, as a collective, learning about being creators. We're moving out of the Yuga, the era, the Piscean age into the Aquarian age. The Piscean age was about separation and conflict and competition, and we're moving more into unity consciousness and mastering ourselves as creators. So we're all learning about how we create our reality. And when was it? It was 20 years ago, 2006, when The Secret, hit the world stage. Like The Secret, talked about, I'm pretty sure it was 2006. Yeah. Because we were sending out the DVDs like crazy. We were importing them from the States. Anyway, that's another story. So it's 20 years where that energy of law of attraction, you create your own reality, hit the collective understanding. A lot of people said, nah, bah humbug, it's BS. And a lot of people woke up and went, crikey, is this true?
And people are still talking about it and referencing it today, even though there's been revised editions and things like that. But it really has changed the way a lot of us look at things, whether we're way more spiritually inclined or not, whether I believe in aliens or not, right? Some people believe whether they
Yes.
may believe in the secret, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So we are in the era of disclosure, and we've spoken about this on the show many times. It's not just about are we alone in the universe, which I think is the craziest question anyone could ever ask. I mean, what a crazy thing to look up into the night sky and say, "Oh, we're alone."
We're
But like
alone.
my brother, I think about 20 odd years ago or 15 odd years ago, I asked him. He's a very tech guy. He loves his sci-fi. All my brothers are so into sci-fi.
Yeah.
I told him he was an alien. He thought that was hilarious, but he has a very heightened intellect and curiosity for all things technical. I said, "Do you believe in aliens?" He said, "Oh yeah, I believe in them. I just don't believe that they're here on Earth or that they can even contact Earth." So that might be a consensus that's a lot in the collective, that they believe in them, but we're hundreds of thousands of light years away from life in the cosmos. There's no way that they could contact us, thinking that they have the same tech as we do, which is, I think, is hilarious.
Right.
But yeah, so a lot of people think that. So it's not just about disclosure that we're alone in the universe, but disclosure of who we are, like who we are as creators. Like last year, actually, it was at the end of 2023 when the telepathy tapes hit the world stage. And we've been digesting through the collective mind the reality of telepathy and psychic abilities. And so there's going to be more of that this year, more and more disclosure of not just, how the government's been covering up, alien craft and all that sort of thing, but disclosure of who we are as creator beings.
Ooh, I love that.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
Coming out through podcasts like the telepathy tapes, and you call them the freshies, like the young ones. I was watching a freshie this morning. I can't remember his name. Paradigm something his podcast's called. Anyway, I have to get it right. And he was talking to Kevin Briggs, and
I love Kevin.
I know, and he was talking to one of the parents from the telepathy tapes, and she was talking about her awakening to her daughter's own abilities and then to others. And so that more and more of that is going to come out, which is exciting. More and more disclosure or revealing, or as Susie Hansen talked about it, the second wave of volunteers are the ones that are going to talk about their experience. So think about these kids on the spectrum not being able to verbally communicate or even physically communicate because they have apraxia. What's it called? Apraxia, where they
I don't
know.
I haven't gotten through them.
They don't know how to control their body. So even pointing at a letterboard is difficult for them, but big motor movements are easier for them than smaller motor movements. But so these kids who are adult, many of them are adults now, some are in their 30s and 40s, have been silent their whole lives about who they are and what they can do. They've got this whole life in a psychic realm where they get together and party and talk. And I was listening, as I said, to one of the Freshie shows this morning, and the mother was saying that her daughter revealed that she had this psychic relationship with this other guy in another, like they had a relationship, but not a physical relationship, but they were boyfriend and girlfriend in another reality. It was so cute. So now they're talking and their information is coming out. So now that's being disclosed. And so the communicators is the second wave of volunteers. They wait often for lifetimes. Kevin Briggs was 65 before he started talking about his experiences.
Isn't that incredible?
Mm-hmm. He's just, 71 now, but his guides said to him, now it's time to talk and write a book. And he's like, I'll talk about it, but I can't write a book. And he said, don't worry, we'll help you write a book. So some people have waited their whole life to now come out publicly and share their experiences as we shift into a new understanding and more disclosure. So more of that to come this year.
I think that's amazing.
What's Alison saying here? Sometimes, Karen, some people may feel supported by considering an optimum time to make their choices effective. Absolutely. And Heidi's a moon child, she says. Have you got control? Have you not got control of the...
I don't. I had trouble logging in.
You had trouble logging in.
I was stressing Karen out before I hopped on, but it's just, I had to log in just by the invite only today. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think what she was talking about, the optimum time to make their choices effective. I mean, we have choice in everything anyway. And whether it's in my star charts or going on, in the universe, the only there's a good, a friend of mine, Jeffrey Olson, who's a near-death experiencer. I've taken some courses from him, on shamanism training and things like that. And he says what he's learned is the only universal law is choice, is choosing. And so yeah, I can choose whenever I want to, take that first step into whatever it is, and sometimes it's time, and people, something will happen that'll just move them, I want to move to a new house. And then the house, something happens to it, it burns down. Well, then you have to move, right? I mean, did they create that? Was that a choice? I don't know. There's so much in that, but.
Well, that's so interesting. When I was young, I was at a fair, a marketplace, and I was contemplating, do we create our reality or do we predict it? Like sometimes when you're thinking, that happened. And I was holding a mug as I picked up this mug off a table. Not that I wanted to buy it. I don't know why I picked it up. I picked it up to look at it. And I had this thought, you're going to drop it. And I'm like, I'm not going to drop it. Then I dropped it. I don't think it broke. But I said to my guides afterwards, like, what was that? Was that me predicting it or creating it? Like, where are we here? Do we predict our reality or do we create it? And they said, both.
Yes.
And I'm like
well, so you're reminding me of one of my favorite scenes in The Matrix. I love it when the Oracle is on screen, in the films The Matrix. And I think it's in the first film where she goes, don't worry about it. And he's like, what? And she's like, you're going to knock that vase over. And he knocks the vase over. And then she ends the scene or conversation by going, what's really going to make you nuts is, did you knock it over because I said it, or were you going to knock it over anyway? Like, exactly. I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the quote exactly, but and then in the end, Karen, does it matter? Does it matter? It's both. And does it matter? How much does it matter? That's what I ponder on all the time right now. It's,
well, like Esther says, you'll never, what does she say? You never get it wrong and you'll never get it right. Now, what does she say? I'm not quoting her, but we've got eternity. If we make choices where we have an opportunity to make a better choice and we don't make a better choice, it's like life gives us opportunity and opportunity and opportunity to do it again and again. And then if we fail and die, we got another lifetime. And some people can live lifetimes recreating circumstances where they have an opportunity to make a better choice. And lifetimes. And so you'll never get it. Like, you've got eternity to play with. I'm misquoting Esther very badly, but anyway, something she said all the time. Eternity to play with. But I'm just getting back to Alison, which is sometimes, Karen, some people may feel supported by considering our optimum time to make their choices effective. Yeah, Garnet said to me, I know we always talk about Garnet. Garnet said to me when he brought out his books, because he was in his 60s or 50s, he might have been in his 50s, corporate lawyer, led his whole life as a muggle, for a better word. Someone used that word the other day. As a normal person, a non sort of miraculous person, a spiritual person, a mortal human, asking a million questions and not having the answers given to him. And then in his 50s, his spirit guide turns up, and then, whoa, 5 books later and all these adventures later. And some people had asked him on different podcast shows, why did your spirit guide wait so long? And he said, well, I asked Albert that, Albert being his spirit guide, and he said, because humanity was not ready for what we had to share before that. And even when he started sharing it, how many years ago? 15 years ago now, Kristin?
Something like that, yeah. That feels about right.
I don't know, but
not quite 20, but yeah.
Humanity at large was still not ready for it, but there was a critical mass. There was enough people tuned into that vibration who were ready for it. And that's only expanding. So the awareness, the expansion of awareness of consciousness is just expanding. So there's obviously more of that happening this year, and then the next year, and the next year, and it'll keep going, the expansion. So more podcast shows will come out, and more disclosure, more. And just seeing Kevin on the Freshie show, Kevin's 71 now, and I'm thinking, generations like to listen to their own generations. Usually they feel more comfortable. Like, I often wondered, are you frozen? I think you are. Or am I freezing? Am I freezing? Or is it you?
I don't know.
I attract people who are kind of my age group, and younger podcasters attract people. So there's Kevin on the Freshie show, on the Young Guys show. And I was thinking, oh, that's so cool that his message is reaching that generation, because there's lots of us in 50s, 60s, 70s who are sharing amazing stuff that people in their 20s and 30s are not listening to, because they're listening to other stuff, But so I love that that's happening, that people are sharing through, intergenerational. Yeah, it's hello popping in at last. Hello, Shirley. Happy New Year, darling one. Hello. Happy New Year. So what time is it over there? It's what, 3:30? No, 4:30 in the afternoon?
It's 4:30 for me, Mountain time. In the afternoon, yeah.
And what are you up to tonight?
I'm going to go to a friend's house, and there's just going to be 3 of us. And I think these friends of mine, Garrick and Martin, I think we've done this the 3rd year in a row. We just hang out and eat and play games and, party a little bit if we want to. And yeah, I don't know. The big New Year's party is just kind of not been my big thing. I'm not a big drinker, and so a big fancy New Year's party, I think on occasion I've had something at my house, but I just keep it mellow. Usually the weather's bad, or it gets foggy, and then people are drinking, so I always just...
So there are no fireworks in your neck of the woods? They don't sort of let off fireworks?
Not normally, not in Salt Lake City, not here. There was a time when downtown they tried to do like a big party, but it's often like freezing or below freezing here this time of year. So we don't. But I bet like on the coasts and stuff that there's big fireworks. I know that there's New York City does the big ball drop, and then they replay it as it goes down the time zones. It's kind of funny.
I tell you what, Sydney siders are into. There's over a million people that gather around the foreshores of Sydney Harbour to watch the fireworks. They queue up for 2 days to get a spot. Yeah, they're big into the fireworks down here. And wherever I've lived in Sydney, there's been local fireworks. I think in Bondi, I heard there's usually fireworks in Bondi. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this. But I heard that they might have been cancelled because of the Bondi shootings.
Right.
And maybe all those people from Bondi came to Coogee, which is the suburb that I live in.
Yeah.
So it might have been even more packed last night. They all came for Christmas Day. There's a beach next to us called Bronte Beach, which is a small beach. It has a big park behind it. All the backpackers, because there's heaps of backpackers. There's heaps of people from overseas here. As I say, you walk down the street in my suburb and you don't hear an Australian accent. Everyone's got a different Irish, UK, European. And so there's heaps of backpackers out in Australia having a good time. And they get together. They call it the Orphans Christmas. And they party. They get drunk and wear red bikinis and red Santa hats and red board shorts. It's a thing, right? And they usually do it. They usually do it at Bronte Beach, and then they trash the beach and the council. Everyone's up in arms. So this year they did it at my beach, the beach I live in. They did it at Coogee, and there were just thousands of them. It was on the news. I think I said it in the Inner Sanctum.
Yeah. I have a question. Something I've been pondering, and something you said a few minutes ago made me think about it with, the freshies and how Kevin Briggs is older and he's giving the information, but we tend to stick with who we're comfortable with in our generation. And I often look at, I love to watch older movies, even, black and white movies, but older movies now are from the 80s and 90s and stuff. And I look at who the bad guys are, or I look at who runs the corporation in the story, and back then they were always older men, like with silver in their hair and older. And now when you watch movies, it's a younger person, like 30s, under 40s, that's running these corporations, or that's the main bad guy, that has all the brains, or that everybody turns to. It's kind of funny. But this is my question. Because of all this opening and where we're at, and people, I think there are people that are still looking for gurus, and they follow gurus, but usually it's the young, hip kind of, guru that people are looking for now. They don't listen to the old. And at the same time, I find people all the time going back to ancient texts, or the ancient Egyptians studied this, and I'm like, that's beautiful, that's interesting. Is that really what's happening now? So I get really caught up in, do I want to listen to these really old sentiments, or is it the new and the fresh, or am I being sucked into, like I said, the collective by the media? Like now it's the younger people that are running things, or smarter, or I don't know. Can you hear my question in there? Like, what is this between the really old and the ancient, and does that really apply? Because every year is something new.
Well, this is how I see it. I'm not saying that this is right, but this is how I see it.
Yeah.
I often, like, for the last few thousand years, 20,000 years, or how we've been in what has been called the Kali Yuga. We've been in an epoch, an era of darkness, and there has been a lot of teachings that have pierced the darkness, a lot of teachers that have come to earth to pierce the darkness, to remind us who we are. But a lot of the old texts and the old teachings, especially spiritual teachings, have been corrupted by, and so as I said, coming out of the Piscean age into the Aquarian age, the Piscean age was about control and competition and domination. The Piscean age is about sovereignty and creation. Okay. So a lot of the teachings that came were corrupted by the control and the domination. And I always think to myself, it's nice to go back to the ancient teachings, but a lot of it was corrupted. Like there's a bit of truth inside a lot of controlling fear, especially in religion, as you know. And so we've got access to infinite intelligence inside ourselves, right? We can access the Akashic, we can access source, God, we can access anything. And we're being inspired by higher consciousness beings from other worlds that have evolved out of the timeline, the era, the experience that we're going through now, into a new world, who are helping us. They're saying, we navigated that too. We went through that too. We went through wars, we went through corruption, and this is how we navigated, and this is what happened. So there are cosmic, beings, galactic beings that are helping us, inspiring us, as well as the angels and the spirit guides and our higher self. And, like all that is there to inspire us. So whatever we put our focus upon, whether it's a guru or a freshy podcaster or an ancient text, like what is it that you want to create in your life? Because that guidance will be given to you directly. And does that resonate with your desire? So what do you want to create in your life? Some people want to create money and family and houses, and and what will resonate with them will be directly speaking to their desire. Some people will desire to be more evolved and more connected to their soul and more connected to their power and expand their consciousness and expand their psychic abilities. And whatever it is that you're asking for, ask and it is given. It's being given to you. So depending on what you're asking for, what you focus on will be directly speaking to you. So that's why I say often that nothing is right or wrong, because it's going to speak to what you're desiring. And everyone on the planet has, different desires. Although collectively we have like when disasters happen, like Bondi, for instance, I've been listening to my friends in the Jewish community talk about the rise of anti-Semitism in Australia. I said to my girlfriend, Etty, who was on the show with me recently, surely that's not happening in our suburb. And she said, Karen, around the corner from me, someone's car, Jewish man's car, was blown up. And I'm saying, no, really? This happened? Like in the suburb that you live in, which is, not far from where I live? She said, yeah, it's happening right now. So collectively, they had been asking for more unity because there had been this rise of anti-Semitism. And that has actually been answered through what's happened. It did take this horror terror attack to answer it. But there's been a whole shift in the collective globally for the Jewish community, because across the world, a girlfriend of mine's accountant went to Morocco and Spain and did the walk in Spain. And when she got back, I said, how was your trip? And she said there were protests everywhere. Like in Morocco, there were protests. And people were showing me like pro-Palestine protests, which is kind of divisive. They talk about stopping war, but really they're only on one side. And a lot of people are asking for unity. So it's so interesting what's happening. It's so interesting. So focusing on what you want and seeing that in the world, this is how we're going to create a better world. Just about to lose phone reception, Alison says. Thanks, darling. Hope 20 is kind to you all. Well, I'm going to address that.
Okay.
At the beginning of a year, we always think, somebody reached out to me on Instagram, number 1 year, it's going to be the best year. We've won. They're sort of using one as in numero uno, as in one, as in winning.
Yep.
And everyone hopes that this year is going to be the best year, the best year, the best year. And then at the end of the year, like the guy said on television last night, aren't you pleased? 2025's over. It's like at the end of the year, you can't wait to start a new year. We have such big hopes for the new year and such like, okay, let's move on because that wasn't so hot. But if we wish for somebody, Hope 26 is kind to us all, maybe I hope that whatever you navigate in this year, whatever challenges that arise globally, personally, you meet it with loving kindness. You meet it with understanding. You meet it with curiosity. You meet it with heightened consciousness, and you see the beauty in it, even though it might look like chaos. You see the beauty in it. You see the beauty in the chaos, and new desires are born in you for something new, something more, something better, and that you manifest or you reach that frequency, that vibration of that desire. If that was what I would wish for anybody in 2026, that's what I wish. Not that this year is going to be a perfect, smooth ride and it's all going to be happy, joy, joy, joy. Because, like my guide said to me, we're in the age of disclosure and disruption. And as we break down the old systems, there's a lot of chaos, but we're breaking down the old to build a new. So where are you going to put your focus?
I'd love to address that where your friend was saying, we've won, but it's number one, but WON, like won some kind of battle. And I have this beautiful group of ladies that, I meet with on occasion, and we have a chat stream and on all our phones, and we chit chat. And I love these ladies dearly. Like, they're such beautiful souls, and they're very caught up in that disclosure side. And like, they say that gold is going up, so stockpile gold because everything's going to be dismantled and we've won and da 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 da. And so sometimes I have to actually disengage a little bit because, I mean, they're very enlightened, beautiful women and very gifted in so many ways, but they are part of that section of, the conspiracy theories, if you will, and all of that. And it's not that it is a little negative, I guess. I don't want to always think of it, my personal perspective,
they're tuning
like
in.
It's a battle.
They're tuning into the war, the battle. Yeah, the war in consciousness. It's like the light and the dark are in a war. I mean, it's all over. It's all over our, movies. It's always the battle. This is the Piscean age. It's the competition and control. And we're moving out of that. Like, we've got a long way to go. We're not going to create, it's not going to finish in my lifetime or maybe in the next lifetime or the next lifetime. I mean, yugas are thousands of years. We've got thousands of years to play with this. We've been moving out of the age of darkness for hundreds of years. Like, you think back to even like the time when Christ hit the earth, or when Buddha hit the earth, or when Moses hit the earth.
When they just hit the earth,
Muhammad hit they like came down in their satellites and hit the earth like Superman. I mean, we were in dark times, right? There was a lot of stuff going. People say that life's challenging now. It's been a lot worse. So we've moved out of the age of darkness, moving in, when I say darkness, the age of competition and control, moving into an age of unity and creation. And where am I going with this? Yeah, and so there's a lot of people who are still invested in the war. You see it all over, I hate to say it, but all over Rumble and places like that.
Yeah.
They're invested in the light and the dark. And even on the Sean Ryan show, he gets these people on there that are talking about God versus the devil. It's like religion has perpetuated this too. It's like this war. There's the devil, and then there's God or the angels or whoever represents God. And there's this battle going on, or there's us, the light workers, and the cabal. The deep state and the Illuminati. You know what? As light workers, or as difference makers, or as beings here, as genius creators, as deliberate creators, let's just move outside of the war. There's no war. There's only one source of energy. How can it fight itself? I mean, you can have the illusion of it fighting itself, but darkness or struggle or trauma was created so that we can have a platform through which, an environment through which we can grow spiritually.
Yeah.
And if we stop fighting the darkness and start thanking the darkness, I think I did this on an Elevate show where we talked about gratitude, and start thanking the darkness rather than fighting the darkness, then we just lift ourselves out of the war, and we're now living in peace rather than being in the battle within. Because so many people are in the battle within themselves, the light and the dark, the ego versus the higher self.
Right.
And there's always this battle, like so many spiritual teachers. I remember one of mine who I worked for at the academy said, I want to lay my ego at the feet of the guru. Like, I'm always trying to overcome their ego, get rid of their ego, get like there's a battle going on.
Yeah.
Like, the ego is cool. The ego is all part of what makes us human. It also causes a lot of havoc in our life. It's the part of us that believes in the illusion of separation, but inside that illusion of separation, desires are born, desires are birthed. And from that, we create our lives when we're striving to create something, even when we're on a spiritual journey and we believe that we're not an extension of source energy of infinite intelligence. The desire to know more of who we are is born, and the desire to expand that knowledge and that knowing is that journey. If we just woke up one day and knew who we were as these amazing beings, then there would be no journey, right?
Well, and I want to say something that I haven't said this for a long time, but it still creeps in and I still think about it. And that is like opening up spiritually and seeing beyond the veil a little bit, and deliberate creation. Like, am I cheating? Like, am I cheating the game that I like set myself up for? Should I not be doing that? Like, is that cheating? I don't know. You have said this before, but I'm not sure what you mean by cheating. Well, okay. So I came to this planet to learn some things, and I, agreed to have the veil of forgetfulness on me. Okay. And now I'm like poking through, like, I'm practically working to poke through that veil now and be in touch with my guides and not at all. Have you noticed? But it's that thing that hits me, But have you noticed when you do poke through the veil and you hit higher consciousness? I do it all the time, and you get these aha moments, like, that's really the meaning to what's happening. That the veil will open and you'll be like in this new reality and new consciousness and new vibration, and then the veil, like somebody slams the curtain shut again, and now you're back in the suffering and the struggle. It's the buzz kill. I was on a high and the buzz kill comes in. Dang it. Like, that's the game of life. That is so the game of life. I don't know. I don't think you're accessing your resources. Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I think that that's an old religious upbringing, piece still stuck in my teeth there a little bit. That is hard to get out. Like, I'm cheating, Yeah. Look, when you speak to dead people, for a better word, people that are not physically focused in this third dimensional reality,
they love everything we go through. Like, they just find that our struggles, especially our struggles with ourselves and our mental capacity and our psychic capacity and all that sort of stuff, they find that so exciting. Because when you're dead, for a better word, but when you're not focused in this reality, and we don't have, when you've pierced the veil and you're living outside the veil of forgetfulness and you do remember who you are, you don't have that challenge or that opportunity. And like we talked about with Vinny, it's just such a powerful statement. We give ourselves this darkness or this veil or this forgetfulness because it gives us more options of choice. When you're, like Vinny said, when you're, on the other side, all your desires are God's desires. This is his vernacular. Wouldn't be the way I would say it, but he comes from that Christian thing going on.
Yeah.
But when you're on earth, not all your desires are God's desires, and not all your choices are God's choices. So I would use higher self or soul in replacement of God.
Or enlightened. Aligned is what I meant.
We're still making choices when we're a soul, like we choose to come to Earth or another planet, and we choose to, set up our experience and circumstances and, who we'll be and where we'll live and our parents, like we choose our parents and all that sort of stuff, and we choose our physical condition. So we're still making choices that would not necessarily be God's choices, but they are God's choices because you're connected to that God source, that God force, that creator force that is pure, positive, infinite intelligence. So you make choices from that perspective. And then we come into the earth perspective, the three-dimensional perspective. And now we've got a whole new range of frequency from which to make choice. So again, whatever we experience, both internally, like our thoughts and beliefs, or externally, like circumstances, we're making choices all the time. Like, what am I choosing? What am I choosing?
Yeah.
How am I choosing to experience this? What am I choosing to believe about this? What am I choosing? How am I choosing to respond or to react to this? And that's the earth experience. And so even when we make mistakes and we choose to listen to someone and punch them instead of listen to them, like I'm just thinking, it's not like wrong and you're going to be, held accountable in heaven and go to hell. It's just a choice, maybe not the best choice at the time, and you'll get an opportunity to make another choice, of similar circumstances. So there is no, this is something that many people don't understand because we're so into punishment down here in this third dimension and being accountable for what you've done wrong because there's evil, and then you've got to pay for the wrongdoings. And again, this is inside religion, but it's also inside our government, right? It's inside how we rule this world. And when I said, I don't know if I said it with you on the show, maybe was it with you on, when I asked where the shooter was, they believe that they go to some heaven where they'll get accolades. The more people they kill, the better the accolades in heaven. I wanted to reach out to that place. Like, where are you? What does your heaven look like? Like, I wanted to pierce the veil and look into their sort of Islamic extremist Muslim heaven. Like, what does that place look like? Because it's a creation that they've created. So it's created in the, and I saw him standing hand in hand with the 10-year-old that was killed. And the message was, there's no hate in heaven.
Yeah.
So when you say that, like, this guy murdered all these people, including a 10-year-old girl, and they're standing hand in hand smiling, people often can't understand that sort of love. Like, no, that can't be right. He needs to be punished.
Yeah, the retribution. I mean, we live on a planet of retribution, something, it's still that eye for an eye. That, I was taught that, Jesus came to abolish, but,
Were you? Is that what you were taught? Jesus came to abolish?
It came to abolish the Mosaic law, which was an eye for an eye, and he taught to love everyone.
Right. Yeah.
So I do, that's one of those teachings, if I think, about Jesus in those ways that I like. I do want to talk to that thing, like you were speaking a few minutes ago too, about the choice and how we navigate this life. And, sometimes people see everything as black or white, right?
Absolutely.
And one is totally light and totally dark. And then they're like, oh, it's just not black or white. And I'm just in this gray area. And I was in a course where there was all these meditations and all these things. And during one of these meditations, and somebody was talking about the black and the white, and I just feel like I'm in the gray area. And I had this vision, and I may have shared it with our group before, but if you take white is, in some forms of color theory, like the absence of all color. And black is the presence of all color. So what's in between? It's all the colors of the spectrum. It's not gray. It's all everything. So if I'm choosing, whether it's black or white, if I choose something, I'm choosing to live on that color wave for a while in my life. Whether, it's more challenging and I want to be skinny and I decide to go down that challenge of losing weight, right? Or I want to go down that challenge of eating that cake and having my fun, as a silly example, but it could be all our choices in our life day to day to me. And so I've adopted that like, it's not black or white, Kristin. It's not good or bad. It's what color am I choosing today? That's how I see it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a great message to move into 2026. No matter what happens, whether you start new things, like you plant new seeds and you're like eager for them, to grow, get in there. Like when we talk about deliberate creation, the analogy of you order from the menu of life. So the menu of life is life, and your kitchen receives the order and then it cooks up the order and then it delivers it to you as you're waiting at the restaurant, enjoying your life, like when you're in that place of allowing. So in the analogy of the restaurant, you're with friends or you're alone, but you're sort of relaxed and enjoying life, and then your order is delivered. It's the same with deliberate creation. You don't go into the kitchen and tell the chef how to cook the meal, or you don't plunge your hand into the dirt and start pulling up the seed and like grow. That's interfering in the creative process. So enjoy your life. Like move into the frequency or the vibration of that which you're wanting to happen, even when you're bumping up against what you don't prefer, or seeing on the news or on the internet what you don't prefer. When you see these horrible things happen in the world, like what is it that you would prefer? So every time we experience contrast, we give birth to the opposite of that. So when we see trauma, we ask for peace. When we feel lonely, we ask for love or unity. And when we feel poor, we ask for more abundance. And when we feel sick, we ask for more health. So focusing on that vibration. And that's the choice we're given. The choices we're given. 2026. Yeah, it is another big year. It's not going to be a little sleepy year, that's for sure. Lots happening around disclosure. Lots of people yelling and making noise about disclosure, especially in the government. The government, like more disclosure. Bashar is. I saw a friend this year I hadn't seen for a while. Brad, who used to be in the Inner Sanctum, the Australian guy. Brad, do you remember him? And
I do. I wondered about him.
He had on his T-shirt 2027. And I'm like, what's happening in 2027? He said, disclosure. I said, where did that information come from? And he said, Bashar. And so that is something that Bashar put out, that there will be, disclosure's already happened. There's lots of people talking about it, but there will be more mass disclosure in 2027. So that'll be interesting. So we're in the lead up to that. So there'll be more and more talk about that, We'll see if that happens in 2027. I still don't think humanity is really ready for that. It's going to be a long time, 100%.
Sometimes, you can prepare and you're never really ready. So sometimes it just has to show you up.
Yeah.
And then we step up to the plate and show up for the game.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And like I said, planting seeds, a number 1 year, universally, like if you add up your birthday and reduce it to a single number, you'll get your numerological number. Mine's a 9, born on a 9 day and a 9 month and a 9 year. So I'm in a 9 year, every moment of the day. It's crazy. Even my house is a name. My name adds up to 9. My telephone number.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. Even when I like things on YouTube or Facebook, usually the number that I'm clicking is adding up to a 9, or the number I'm looking at is adding. It's like crazy. So the energy of the 9, I know the energy of the 9, but the energy of the 1 is about self, mostly. The energy of the 9 is about humanity at large, and 1 is about self. So depending on what your number adds up to will influence the universal number, how you're navigating the universal number of self, desire, planting seeds, and how you're navigating that this year. But we're still influenced by the age of disruption, the 2025, for the first 6 months of the year at least, and then it'll sort of kick more into that that universal one. But yeah, what is your what do you add up to? We've run out of time.
I think I'm a 5.
You're a 5?
I look it up often, and I think it's a 5, and I don't always love what it says about that being my number for my life. And so I always forget.
That's funny.
Because I don't want to play in that one, but I'm pretty sure I'm a 5. Yeah.
So Michelle's been sending me the numbers for Elevate, and we're reaching about 500,000 people through the networks, and we're reaching about 750 to 800,000 on ATP media. So people are growing. I would love to hear from you, all those people that are listening through the networks. Go to KarenSwain.com or go to my Facebook, just put in Karen Swain or ATP Media, Accentuate the Positive Media, and send me a hello. I want to know who you are. Apparently there's like hundreds of thousands of people listening, but I never hear from them, except for the 20 or 30 or so people that listen to the lives and are in the comments. But many blessings for 2026, and I hope you navigate the energies of 2026 with courage, with enthusiasm, with curiosity, and with heightened guidance and heightened knowing. And you create another way to bring in a new world, a new age, and you enjoy the ride, the roller coaster ride. It might be scary, but enjoy the ride. And to you too, darling, and we'll chat again next week.
Yep.
Big love, big love, big love, Heidi and everybody. Bye for now.